The Wildcats corralled the Buffaloes up in Canyon. Now they set their sights towards perfection.
Well, they have clinched a tie, and now they go for an outright title this week on the Chris Thomsen Show. Welcome to a championship edition of the Chris Thomsen Show. Grant Boone along with senior broadcast major at ACU, Brandon Tripp, and the head football coach at ACU, Chris Thomsen. Coach, I'll give you a handshake here. Your second Lone Star Conference title in the last 3 years. You clinched at least a share of it with that huge 41-34 victory over West Texas A&M Saturday night. On your ride home, your bus ride home, you told me that one may be the best win of any you've had here, and you've had a lot of them, 52 of them since you came here 5 years ago. Why'd you say that?
Well, just I guess the way in which we won the game, falling behind a couple of scores, and seeing our guys rally and then outscoring those guys 28-7 at last part of the game there just really showed, I thought, a lot of character in a game that was for the championship. I guess all of them are, but as you wind down to the end of the season and everything's on the line, to see our guys step up, that was very meaningful.
Yeah.
Coach, this is your second conference championship in 3 years. You've doubled the number of conference championships ACU has had in its history in just 5 years here at ACU. What does it mean to have your second one?
Well, it means a lot. I mean, it's symbolic of a lot of hard work by a lot of people and our assistant coaches, our players, and just great commitment from our administration, from Dr. Schubert and Dr. Money before that, and Jared Mosley and all the people that it takes to win a championship in any sport. And you see it in our other fall sports, a lot of success this year. There's just a great commitment from our school to help us be successful. And we're really happy about that, and it's great to see our players and our assistant coaches get the reward from that.
And this gives you an opportunity to point out some of those people who week to week really don't get mentioned. I mean, people like Corey Driscoll and Luke Sauber and people like that, and your assistant coaches too.
Yeah, we've got the best training staff, I believe, in America. I mean, those guys at any level, and those guys came from Kansas State in the Big 12, and they're bringing that same kind of commitment and excellence to that program. And just top to bottom, we feel like the commitment level and the things that are the infrastructure that's in place is the reason why we've been able to be successful, and it's been a good ride this year.
10-0 now, and definitely good times at ACU trying to cap off a perfect 11-0 season. That would be a first in ACU program history. When we come back, we'll look back at that exciting 41-34 victory in Canyon over West Texas A&M last Saturday night. This is the Chris Thomsen Show. Last Saturday night, ACU and WT locked up in another classic in this great rivalry. Brandon Tripp looks back at the Wildcats' 41-34 victory in Canyon.
The number 2 ranked ACU Wildcats headed up to Canyon, Texas to square off with the number 14 Buffaloes, and West Texas came out firing. First drive of the game, Taylor Harris finds Britton Golden for the touchdown. West Texas takes an early 7-0 lead, but the Wildcats were on their way back. Thanks to the legs of Caleb Withrow. Look at this kick return, 77 yards. He would set up ACU at the WT 11-yard line. The Wildcats could not score from there. They would have to settle for a Morgan Lineberry field goal. In fact, they were inside the red zone 4 times in the first half, just 6 points to show for it. On the next WT possession, Taylor Harris looking for Stephen Burton, the star wideout, can't find him. Instead finds James Williams, one of his 3 interceptions on the day. The Wildcats could not capitalize on the interception by James Williams. A 4th-and-1 attempt was stuffed by the Buffaloes, and the score would remain 7-3. All right, later in the quarter, Taylor Harris trying to fake out the ACU defense and throw it up deep, but instead, it's James Williams again, his 2nd interception on the night. All right, important play for a couple reasons. The Wildcats haven't bottled up, then James Williams comes in and hits Kevin Washington, his teammate, Williams gets away and scores a touchdown. Kevin Washington will find out later after the game that he had broken his arm on this play. Wildcats go down 14-6. First drive of the third quarter, circa 2008, Mitchell Gale around the end. Looked a lot like Billy Malone's run from about that far out. In 2008, the Wildcats storming back. They come within 14-13, but a WT score will put them up 20-13, and the Wildcats were down 14 at that point, and it did not look good for ACU. And Caleb Randolph in jeopardy of losing takes the interception, and he returns it for the touchdown. James Williams can always be counted on. Here he is again, goes up and takes it away from Stephen Burton, the NFL prospect. His third interception on the night, one of Taylor Harris's 4 turnovers. So the Wildcats would score on a Dale Richardson touchdown. On the first play of the fourth quarter, Wildcats driving again. Mitchell Gale looking for Big Gibbs. Instead, Edmund Gates comes and takes it from him. Edmund Gates then takes it down the sideline, burns past everybody as he has done all season long. The Wildcats and Buffs would trade punts and scores throughout the rest of the fourth quarter, and with 1:33 left, thanks to a great setup by Kendrick Johnson on a punt return, Dale Richardson bounces it outside and takes it into the end zone. The Wildcats take their first lead of the game, and what a time to do it. WT would have one more shot. Taylor Harris sets up, throws it deep into the end zone, but Edmund Gates there in the defensive backfield knocks it away. The Wildcats win at least a share of the LSC title, 41-34.
Coach, 41-34, your team wins in Canyon. You rally from 14 down in the third quarter. Let's go back to the first half. 4 times you have a first and goal. You only get 6 points out of that. Your team has struggled in terms of touchdown percentage in the red zone this year. In fact, weird stat, you're last in the conference in touchdown percentage once in the red zone. Saturday night, was that your problem? Was it WT playing great defense? What was it?
I think it was a combination of both. Those guys on that side of the ball are really good. There's some strong defensive linemen on their group. But looking at the film, we didn't execute on a couple of things, didn't block the right people at times, and that's unacceptable. And in that part of the field, everything's so condensed down there. There's no room in the back. The mistakes get magnified more, and it cost us down there, nearly cost us a game.
Okay, so 14-6 was the score at the half. Right before halftime, 93 seconds to go in the half, Tyson Williams gives you a double whammy. Not only does he break away from a Kevin Washington tackle and score to make it 14-6, but on that play, Kevin Washington suffers a broken arm. It seemed to me to be a play where Kevin had a chance to stop him, and then James Williams, trying to come in to help, almost dislodged Kevin from Tyson.
Yeah, he really did. Kevin had a hold of him, and James coming in, just running to the football, trying to make a play, just knocked him off the tackle, and then it seemed like everybody else got knocked off the tackle. But Tyson's one of those guys, just a phenomenal, great football player, and he makes things like that happen.
13 for 171 and 2 touchdowns in the whole game. He was 8 for 121 in the first half alone, talking about Tyson Williams. Now, you kept it close in the first half because of another Williams of your own who was pretty good, James Williams. 3 interceptions overall for the game and 2 in the first half. Those were his first picks of the year.
Yeah, James has gotten his hands on quite a few this year and wasn't able to hold on, but what a great time to come up with some big interceptions. He's a guy that's worked so hard since January. He didn't play a lot as a junior, transferring in here from Bakersfield. He's actually an East Texas product, but man, he worked so hard, and all that hard work paid off. I mean, it was great to see him get recognized by the conference and make a bunch of great plays to help us win.
So they answer with the score, and they missed the extra point. Darian Williams, it was a big night for people named Williams. Darian blocks the extra point. It was the first extra point WT's missed all year, and they've been in the end zone a lot. So it's 20-13. Mitchell and your run game brings the team down the field, and then he makes his worst mistake, really is just his second really bad mistake all year, lost a fumble against Kingsville. He throws a pick 6 that Caleb Randolph returns for a touchdown. You said in the pregame show that you always tell your team things are never as good as they seem or as bad as they seem. How bad did they seem, though, on the sideline at that point?
Well, up to that point, even throughout the whole game, I mean, with our offense struggling, things felt pretty bad over there. But I always tell our guys, you know, don't go on the feelings, just keep playing, and whether you're winning or losing. And I sense that, you know, we've been in that situation before, and I've sensed a little bit more panic, you know, from guys. But But looking around, I just didn't sense that. I didn't sense a lot of that. We got so many guys that have been in that situation, and they handled it very well. They just came out and executed and ended up getting, I think, 28-7 is what we outscored them from that point. So it says a lot about those guys' makeup.
On the first play of the fourth quarter, hilarious play here, as you told me Monday night on our radio coaches show at Buffalo Wild Wings here in Abilene. Mitchell throws a touchdown pass to Edmund Gates that wasn't intended for Edmund Gates.
Yeah, we had Ben Gibbs coming across the middle on a drag, what we call a drag route, a crossing route, and Edmund was just supposed to be on the other side of the field. He kind of saw a little opening and really just kind of took, as he said, I just took it. I just took the opening, and the ball was intended for Ben, and he just slips right in front of it and catches it. And probably good he did. I don't think Ben could have taken it in from 51, but Edmund hit the sideline and showed his speed. Just an amazing play.
Amazing, his 26th touchdown reception of his amazing ACU career. They answer with a touchdown of their own. Darrell Richardson scores from 7 yards out. You get 1 3-and-out on defense, 1 3-play drive, and then a punt from WT all night, and it's when you really needed it. You get the ball back and you score with Darrell's third TD.
Yeah, that was a critical stop, and what gets lost in that is Kendrick Johnson.
Yes.
30 takes it down to the plus 36, great field position, and I think that was important because we didn't have to be in a big hurry. You know, if they down us on that end of the field, you kind of a little bit of urgency there, but we get down on the plus 36 and can kind of take our time and run the football, and I thought that was big.
45 carries for 231 yards, your team rushing the football. They only had 21 carries for less than 50 yards. That was a huge moment. So for the fourth time, you win a close game, second fourth quarter rally of the season. That could be huge as you go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. The confidence that we gained, and, you know, what I didn't mention on that last drive was our offensive line, I thought, was dominant. You know, towards the end of the game, when we got down on the 36, they really took over, and Travis Turner had a massive block on one of Darrell's touchdowns, and just our whole offensive line just did a nice job, and I think that gives you confidence that you can do that, you know, in a playoff type atmosphere.
41-34 the final, now 10-0. Coach, congratulations on that win. When we come back, we'll take a look at a very busy weekend of ACU sports. This is the Chris Thomsen Show.
Welcome back to the Chris Thomsen Show. Maintaining and increasing strength is an important part of a player's off-season workout. But as Kevin Washington shows us this week, it's also important during the season.
It is now about 6:20 in the morning. I'm talking to 6:26, sorry. So Daryl Harkless and Mr. Gaio here. This is part of in-season lifting, so Washington Post is starting a little earlier than usual, and that's just a part of the walk over to the weight room. So when we get in here, we're going to show you guys kind of what we do during the season and make sure that we are still strong and explosive during the season, thanks to coaches and their insight for making us do things in the morning, because coaches all love the morning time. That's your Whiteside, Travis, you know, a few of the guys. In-season lifting is so amazing. Everybody is so happy. They love it. Oh, Abilene Christian. And then, of course, the morning shorts. We love it. This is what we do. This is Abilene Christian football. Wait till you get the real stuff. 999. 1,000. Not really, it's only 25. But at ACU, we do make sure that we do in-season lifting, because that's part of the way we stay strong and get strong in a lot of things we do. That's something we do 3 times a week. You know, we just get in here, grind a little bit, make sure we're going as hard as we do on the practice field. So in the game, we don't lose any of our strength or our explosiveness. It's just something that we do. You know, we get used to it. It's the way we do things over here at the Wildcats, and just another part of the daily thing that we go through as football players, and you guys got a chance to check it out. So thanks again. This is the Washington Post. We'll catch you guys later.
Thanks, Kevin. Now let's head on up to the JMC Network newsroom for a look at what's going on around the rest of the ACU sports world.
Welcome to the JMC Network Sportscast, your quick access guide to ACU sports on and off the field. I'm Kristen Goodspeed.
And I'm Austin Gwynn.
The ACU soccer team finished off the best regular season in program history with a 2-0 shutout in the LSC Tournament Championship match. Andrea Carpenter scored for the Wildcats and was named the LSC Tournament MVP. Carpenter was one of the 4 Wildcats named to the All-Tournament team. Joining her was junior Ashley Holton and sophomores Julie Coppage and Lexi Sterling. Freshman Bree Bushman earned honors for her defensive play during the tournament. On Monday, ACU, given the number 4 seed in the region, will face Angelo State in the first round of the NCAA South Central Regional Tournament this weekend.
The volleyball team may not have reached one of its preseason goals, but more important ones are still in sight. ACU came out on the losing end of a match against West Texas in which the winner would get to host the conference tournament. Because of the Cats' loss, the tournament will be in Canyon for the 5th straight year, and ACU will enter as the 2 seed. The Cats finished the regular season 23-4 and are still the only ranked LSC team at 22 in the nation.
Despite a gutsy effort by the men's basketball team over the weekend, the Wildcats fell to the University of Houston in an exhibition game. ACU led 66-64 with just 2 minutes and 13 seconds left in the game, but the Cougars outscored the Wildcats 7-2 over the final 2 minutes of the game to scrape out the 71-68 victory. Jordan Cole led the way for ACU with 16 points and 6 rebounds in the loss. The Wildcats will open up their regular season this weekend against the University of Texas Permian Basin. For the JMC Network Sportscast, I'm Kristen Goodspeed.
And I'm Austin Gwynn. May the sports be with you.
Offensive coordinator Ken Collum takes on the daunting task every week of solving opposing defenses, and he does it with great success, leading some of the top offenses in the country over the past few seasons. Here's Ryan Cantrell with more in this week's On the Grid.
The transformation for Mitchell is, if you went to games last year and you're going to games again this year, he just seems like a different person, and he really is. And he and I have talked, and I could tell sometime in two-a-days, I said, I could see him progressing a little bit, and I don't really know why. There could be a combination of a lot of different things. It's just kind of one of those things that there's so much to playing the position of quarterback that I don't really know what turned the corner, or sometimes you never find those buttons to push, or what the situation was. But I could tell in fall camp that he was beginning to turn the corner, and I told him, I said, I don't know what you're doing, whether your approach is different than it was last year or different than it has been up to this point, but what you're doing is right. From then on, he's just taken off, and he's doing pretty good this year. I mean, he's making good decisions. He's keeping us out of bad situations for the most part. He's not taking sacks, and he's pretty accurate when he throws. Our receivers make great catches during the games, though. So if you go to the games, and he's completing, I think 67% of his passes or so, but a lot of that has to do with our receivers. I mean, those guys are good. They can go get the ball. He's learning that there's an art to playing the position. You can't just show up and make good decisions in practice, and then you show up in the game and things are okay. You have to be fully committed, and it's just like with any position, but it just shows up really, with him.
Thanks, Ryan. When we come back on the Chris Thomsen Show, we'll take a look at this week's regional rankings and preview Southwestern Oklahoma State. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Chris Thomsen Show. Take a look at the Super Region 4 rankings with just one more game left in the regular season. There is ACU still number 1 in the regional rankings after that 41-34 victory. Take note that WT, with the loss to the number 1 team in the region, ACU stays put at number 5 as they were last week. Central Missouri blew a 16-7 fourth quarter or second half lead, lost 17-16 on a field goal at the buzzer to Northwest Missouri State. So now Northwest Missouri goes to number 3 in the region. Central Missouri drops to 4. Missouri Western there to number 6. Replacing Midwestern State, which lost to Texas A&M Kingsville 27-7, and they lost their star quarterback Zach Eskridge as well with an injury. Coach, we said going into last weekend it was the top 6 against each other, and at least in 2 of those games they didn't disappoint.
Yeah, there were some great matchups. I talked to one of the guys on the staff at Central Missouri, and they tried to kick a field goal to go up 4 late in that game, and it was like a 20-yard field goal, and they missed it wide right, so that left the door open for Northwest to come back. And like you said, there's a reason they won 45 of their last whatever games. They find a way to win. So some great matchups there, that game, our game, and then Kingsville got after Midwestern a little bit, but some great matchups.
And I thought as those games ended, your team and the big victory over WT rallying from 14 down and Northwest rallying, it's hard to really overestimate what being in big games year after year means to a team in terms of just building up some scar tissue. your team in Northwest every year have been in big games, and
Yeah.
that has to have an effect.
Yeah, I think it does, and even, you know, WT's been a lot of those. That's what was so special about the other night. Those were two seasoned teams, and but it does. It helps you to know how to respond in those situations, and I think a lot of the guys that are on our team now were younger when we had some of those big games in the past, and just getting that game experience helped so much. The Bryson Lewises, the Eric Edwards, those guys, and even Mitchell. You know, we used to take Mitchell on the bus, just travel him in 08, and he'd sit in the press box with Coach Collins and kind of feel that intensity and know what that game's like. So those young guys are learning, and they're putting it to use.
All right, let's talk about this week's opponent, because it kind of is at the other end of the spectrum. Southwestern Oklahoma State comes in 3-7. Your team obviously 10-0. It's a team that's really been struggling. Second-year head coach Chris Kokenauer. They have, however, won 3 of their last 6, and most recently 2 of their last 3. They're coming off a victory over Central Oklahoma last week. You said after the big win over WT that you didn't expect, with as many veteran leaders as you have on the team, to experience a letdown today in the game that kicks off in just a few minutes. But if there ever was a classic trap game, this would seem to be it.
Well, when I talk about letdowns, I talk about letdowns in performance. The emotional. There'll be some games that the emotion level is a little bit higher than others. Last week was a high emotional game. I don't expect, you know, today to be quite as emotional. I don't expect guys to be jacked up quite as much. It's a different atmosphere, but I do expect us to play at a high level and expect us to play our best game of the year. And I think when you have veteran players, they understand that, because you can talk about that as a coach all you want, but those guys have to understand. And really the only way to understand that is to get that experience, and a lot of them have that. So I think they'll respond well today. I think guys like Eric Edwards will not let this team fail, guys like Royland Tubbs, people like that who have been in it, and that's what gives you confidence as a coach.
Coach, a couple of things on the line for you today: an outright LSC championship and another shot at an undefeated season, your second since you've been here, the third in ACU history, possibly the first in ACU history for 11-0. What would that mean to you guys?
Well, that'd be big. The 11-0 regular season, you know, that in 08 we were 10-0 in the regular season. I think in 1950 we 10-0 in the regular season and played a bowl game. So it's a significant step. It'll be neat, you know, to talk about and celebrate after the game. But our guys understand that the main thing is that we take a step. Emory Dudensing stood up before practice on Tuesday and said, you know, we don't want to go into the playoffs on a bad note. You know, whether we win or lose, we want to go in there and play a great game and gain that momentum and that confidence that comes from taking another step, and that's really what we want.
Emory and the rest of your seniors are now the winningest senior class in ACU history. 40 games that senior class has won, and today you'll honor them with Senior Day. Tell me about your seniors.
Well, that group last year, Tony Harp's group, had 38, and this group this year was motivated to try to break that record, and was able to do that. And it's just a very special class. It was our first recruiting class since when we got here, really our first full year to recruit. The guys like Tubbs and Bryson Lewis in January and all those guys. And then we've added a lot of guys along the way, the Kevin Washingtons, the Marvin Jones, the Mike Jones, those kind of guys that have transferred in along the way to form what I consider the most special group in school history, in my opinion. So with all due respect to those guys before, this is a great group.
Coach, you better get over there. Kickoff's in about half an hour.
Yeah, gotta get
all
over
right,
there.
play well today. ACU goes for 11-0. A reminder, you can listen to the game locally. Pre-game show beginning in just a few minutes, 11:30 a.m. local time here on Mix 92.5 FM. You can also watch a replay of the game on this TV, Channel 40, here in the Abilene and Big Country area. For Brandon Tripp and for the coach Chris Thomsen, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching The Chris Thomsen Show. We'll see you next week.